This episode is sponsored by State Farm. Choices are great, like with your podcasts. You get to choose what you want to listen to. And State Farm believes insurance should work the same way. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you get the coverage you want at an affordable price and a policy that helps cover what you value most. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com today to create your State Farm Personal Price Plan. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Scott for Scots here. You ever want to grow new grass faster? Kinda like when you press the 2x playback button on your podcast so you can speed through episodes. Except with Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass, you're speeding your way from a thin and damaged lawn to a thicker, stronger one in just weeks. Bit too fast, maybe slow it down, okay. Let's just go back to normal speed.
Get a bag of Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass today. It grows grass 2 times faster than seed alone when applied at the new lawn rate, subject to proper care.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I'm your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Purple Mafia is available on thesportstuff.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and Double Twist. It's a pleasure to be gracing the airwaves with you once again, but, well, here on Purple Mafia to talk about the Vikings and the NFL and such, but not pleasant to be talking about yet another loss. We do this again, but this time a loss at home to the Detroit Lions. Extremely frustrating. Something that we certainly did not sign up for, without a doubt. I cannot remember a successful season in which the Vikings lost at home to the Detroit Lions. It was often a very, very disappointing season in that case. I mean, the Vikings almost never got beat by the Lions at home. Back in 97, Vikings had an unbelievable record, 8-2 record. They ended up finishing the season 9-7. Luckily, they actually advanced out of the first round, but it took a lot of miracles and a not very good New York team at the time for the Vikings to do that. You start 8-2, you don't expect to finish 9-7. So you have Detroit in that one. You have the Vikings losing at home to Detroit many years later against the other bank, TCF Bank. Couple years ago in Mike Zimmer's first season. A great defensive line by Detroit. Very good season by the Lions. So, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. The Vikings certainly didn't make the playoffs that year. They lost a lot of close games, and that was one of them. This was a close game which the Vikings lost, and it was a very irritating game to watch. Third game in a row where you just, I don't know. I mean, it's not like you thought the whole time the Vikings were going to lose, but, I mean, you just sat there not knowing what to think. You know, you didn't get this vibe like, oh, we'll be okay. You got this vibe like, okay, how are we going to blow this? That's pretty much what it looked like, especially third down efficiency against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. It's crazy to think that a defense can get so bad in 2 years, yet look so good against the Vikings. Once again, Vikings 6 of 14 on third down efficiency. Again, the worst team in the NFL defensively in third down efficiency, and the Vikings can't even get 50% of them. Matthew Stafford, to be fair, has improved dramatically since Megatron has left. Why that is, I don't know, other than I guess it's his offense to run now. It's not like, the pressure, you got to get it to Megatron, you got to keep him happy, this and that, whatever it is. Like, how can you not be the best offense in the NFL when you're a number one pick talent like Matthew Stafford and then Megatron, stuff like that. But whatever it is, the Detroit offense looked efficient today, annoyingly efficient. The Vikings offense looked much more efficient, to be fair. Sam Bradford much more accurate, but it's just there's still something missing. Like whatever the magic was in the past, I mean, it was never spectacular, but there was a little bit of magic to Sam Bradford and Stephon Diggs and others. And it's not there right now. Luckily, Bradford did not throw interceptions. He was not erratic, and he was extremely accurate. 77.5%, 31 of 40. That's pretty damn good, to be quite fair. Only one touchdown, and it was fairly late, but it had the Vikings ahead. Or actually, it should have. Actually, it didn't. But it did, but it didn't. I'm all over the place. That was the one that, the Vikings should have... tied the game, but we'll get to that in a second. 103.4 quarterback rating for Sam Bradford. Theoretic valuable for the Lions, like we kind of had a feeling he would be. And, of course, the talker was Theo Riddick, a better kind of pass-catching running back than he is a running back. Yet, of course, he had a defensive breakdown in which Theo Riddick was able to accomplish a 42-yard long on the day, 70 yards from the ground, 5 yards a carry on average. Good for him, I guess. Woohoo. Riddick much more dangerous in that case. The Vikings certainly shut him down in the passing game, stopped 2 passes. He was only able to get 1 for 6 yards. So good. The linebacker's good in that sense. But the rest of the game, the secondary, the discipline, the question of that, really coming into the season, you saw mistakes by Trey Waynes early in the season. Now you're seeing it by just about everybody. Mistakes defensively, penalties. It's a freaking mess, and it's extremely frustrating to see happen. It's like, where do we even go from this? One positive, other than, I guess, Sam Bradford is fairly sharp again, and that's good. And the offensive line played better. Again, not saying much considering how awful they were for the past 3 or 4 games coming into this one. They were awful in the Houston game, but the Vikings offense was that good, and the Vikings defense was that much better than anything else on the planet at the time. So that's good. Ronnie Hillman, efficient. I liked what I saw from Ronnie Hillman, and you saw a nice catch and go along the way, 32-yard play from scrimmage on that one. That was awesome. A very nice play designed, and Hillman able to catch Bradford with a nice lead pass to Hillman to catch a mistake by Detroit there. They were out of position and take advantage of it. 32 yards down the field, and Hillman only 7 rushes, but did amass 30 yards total, 4.3 a carry. Jerick McKinnon, not sharp at all. He rushed 7 times and only got 1.1 yards. Pretty much. I mean, is that about sums it up, doesn't it? I mean, absolutely nothing. Should I continue with the Vikings offense or the defense or just Detroit? Whatever it is. Let's go with the offense for the time being. Yeah, let's go with the offense for the time being. Remember when Matt Asiata was a short yardage threat? Remember how valuable he was in 3rd and 1? And, oh boy, with 4th and 1, we can get it. We got Matt Asiata. But what happens basically every single time? And it reared its ugly head multiple times again today. I mean, how many times this season have the Vikings gotten into the red zone? At home, on the road, whatever. Especially on the road, but especially during this losing streak. And have they had a turnover on downs? I mean, it's multiple times. It's always to Matt Asiata, and you always see the other team running down the field with their hands in the air. It's just so irritating, so frustrating to watch, and I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of watching it. I have a headache right now, and I'm not kidding. I have a headache right now from the game. I have a headache from thinking about it. I have a headache talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. Do you want to talk about it? I have a headache listening to it on Fanline or whatever the heck these shows are. Fanline, Wineline, whatever it is. I prefer the 1500 one because I don't like Corey Cove at all. Phil Mackey I don't like either, but he's not quite as douchey as Corey Cove. Again, not saying much. It's kind of like the Vikings offensive line didn't suck as bad as last week. That's about it. Jake Long has improved, and he's one of the better players on the offensive line now. So that's good. And you've kind of figured, as long as he's not injured and he's not completely lost his game, that he's going to kind of catch up to speed. It's just the coaching decisions with this team the past couple weeks here are kind of weird. Remember when Turner and others, it was mostly Turner because he was given the go, and we're going to talk about that in a second too as we move on. We're going to attempt to talk about that because, of course, Pat Shurmur was the offensive coordinator now. But putting Jake Long in the red zone for his first attempts of the season, let's put Jake Long in there, and you saw what happened. Coaching decisions that make you go like, what the hell's going on? I mean, that's just weird. What are you doing? Well, since then, he's improved, and you kind of had a feeling he'd catch up to speed, so that's good. But again, he's still not spectacular. The offensive line protection was not that good, no, but it was not the reason we lost the game. It didn't help all the time, but it was not the reason we lost the game. The short yardage run blocking still sucks, and Matt Asiata still can't seem to make the plays he needs to make, even though he looked okay on occasion, particularly early on. But as you get further into the game, it seems like people catch up to him more and more and more, and that's what happened again. Shocker of the decade. Jerick McKinnon again, I mean, whatever. I mean, I guess Ronnie Hillman's the starter for now until Adrian Peterson comes back. Now, I don't know if he's a starter, but he might be the most reliable running back on the roster. Heck, he's had an 800-yard season. And look at me turning on Jerick McKinnon already. As much as I've liked him and I've supported him. Well, he hasn't looked good of late. Hopefully, he'll come back to speed next week. We'll see. I don't even want to get into next week right now. And at the same time, I don't even want to talk about this week. I mean, my confidence in this team is almost completely gone because what's been the backbone of this team the past 3 years since Mike Zimmer's taken over, and what did you see the past 2 weeks? You saw Jay Cutler carve them up. You saw the Vikings look like warm butter. Okay, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't that good either. It's just that when you need to make the stop, we're not making the stop. And then in the past, the Vikings would make a big play finally, and then something would happen. They'd either get in the end zone themselves, the defensive side anyway, or the offense would respond and do something. But in this case, it was like, okay, there it is. Chad Greenway gets the interception. Now, he doesn't go all the way, but he makes a big play. It was, of course, a mistake going on there. But, hey, I mean, you take advantage of it. Chad Greenway getting the interception. It was a nice pressure by Danielle Hunter, so nice to see him again making the big plays. Danielle Hunter and then Chad Greenway being the recipient of the interception. Great. Awesome. Now the Vikings are in the red zone. And what do? Nothing. We do nothing. We end up getting sacked a couple times and end up punting the ball. Really? It's stuff like that is why you lose the frickin' football game. And that's all there is to say about it. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, don't you just hate saying that? Don't you just hate when people say it is what it is? But it is what it is, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? Yeah, that was complete bullcrap, wasn't it? And that wasn't the only time, again, like I said later on. A very impressive drive by the Vikings. You get into the red zone, you get up to the 5 freaking yard line, and you'd have a turnover on downs. Disgusting. I'm glad we didn't turn the ball over. That's wonderful. So good on us for not being sloppy and turning the ball over. Not one fumble and not one interception. That's awesome. But you still got to execute. You still got to go forward. You get to the red zone, you have an impressive drive, and you finish it off with that. All of a sudden, the offensive line takes a couple plays off, a la Randy Moss, right? Yeah, they played when they wanted to play in that case, and you saw Bradford go down basically 2 times in a row, and you couldn't believe what you're seeing. Horrible. You saw McKinnon do nothing. And then you come back on the play calls as well. Like, why are we doing short yardage plays on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9? Why are we constantly doing the same stuff over and over and over again? I don't know. I mean, it's like, I guess maybe Norv Turner's still the offensive coordinator. Okay, maybe it's not that bad. I thought the play calling improved, but you still saw a lot of the same junk. It's just, but with a little bit of like a cherry on top with whipped cream, or maybe a little really tasty salt added to the turkey. I don't know, but it's still a work in progress, but improved slightly. That's about all there is to say with that. Defensively, they're not making the stops they need to, and when it occurs, you've got the Detroit Lions stopped. What happens? Yellow flag, pass interference, and it happened multiple times, especially late in the game, when for sure the Vikings had the Detroit Lions stopped in that overtime, and then you saw the yellow flag fly, and you couldn't believe what you're seeing. I mean, you're almost in tears. You just can't believe it. Pass interference on Xavier Rhodes. I mean, it was unbelievable, and then things got worse, snowballed from there, and then passes started getting completed on Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes that weren't getting completed earlier, and Detroit ended up getting the touchdown to win the game. But again, the fact of the matter is the Vikings should never have gone to overtime if not for Blair Walsh. Yeah, the same guy, the same name, the same frustration, the same thing once again. After the impressive drive where the Vikings finally did get in the end zone, thank you very much, and what should have been a game-tying drive, a beautiful pass to Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph's first catch of the game, and he's back in the end zone for his 4th touchdown reception of the year. The nookie blankie for Sam Bradford. And then you have Blair Walsh kick the ball off the uprights. Again, if you can't have a kicker, if you can't count on your kicker to at least make an extra point, if not a field goal for crying out loud, but if you're afraid he's going to miss the extra point, what the hell do you have going on here? What's the point? I mean, what's the point of keeping the guy? And then you have a field goal attempt, which, it's not the easiest thing in the world, in the mid-40s. Some say 44, some say 46. Let's just go with 45 for the hell of it, just for fun, right? Just to be right in the middle. And if you watch the video, you watch the replay, he was never going to make the kick anyway. It was blocked into Kingdom Come, and it was nearly a touchdown type of play, if not for, Walsh actually slowed the guy down a little bit by standing in the way. He didn't make a move on the guy. Thankfully, some other players along the way came to make some stops, thank God, or to knock the returner out. Thank God for that. But it would have been a miss. I mean, it's just another miss, a kick that probably should have been made. Vikings win the game if that kick was made. You add it together when you headed into overtime, or the play that put the Vikings ahead, the touchdown, which almost was a fumble, by the way, knocked out by Red Ellison. Thank God he was in the end zone. See, it gave the Vikings a 3-point lead. So there you go. Gave the Vikings a 3-point lead, so then you add a possible field goal indoors, by the way. You don't have to worry about wind in your face and all those excuses. Just make a 45-yard field goal because you're supposed to be pretty good at that if you're in the NFL. You're supposed to be decent at it. Make a freaking extra point, which, whatever. And that's a 7-point ball game. So then you don't have to worry about something happening after the score. But wait, there was one other cardinal sin in this game that took place. Was the fact that the Lions should never even have had the ball back, or at least not with the 27 seconds that they had. Now, how a defense can give up what they did in 27 yards is beyond me, but maybe you shouldn't even give them a chance to accomplish what they did. I mean, the possibility, they had to squeeze through like the eye of a needle, basically, to get there, but maybe you should close that eye of the needle just in case, just in frickin' case. But Mike Zimmer called a timeout during the red zone attempts by the Vikings, which you could have had the clock tick down to maybe 3 seconds, something like that, and the Lions wouldn't have been able to make a play. They would have had to heave up a Hail Mary that might have landed on the 20-yard line on the other side if they're lucky. That's what would have happened. It would have been game over. I mean, that's all that would have happened. But no, you call a timeout. I don't get it. Mike Zimmer is a good coach, but I don't get it. I can't believe he did that. And I don't think a lot of other people would disagree with me on that one. Very bizarre. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. Why are we giving them any time? I mean, normally you let the clock just run because you can just hike the ball again. It's not that complicated. Sam Bradford and Pat Shurmur have been known to be able to get the ball out very quickly with the type of offense Pat Shurmur ran in Philadelphia, and the type of offense Sam Bradford quarterbacked in Philadelphia. It's not hard for him. It's possible. 27 seconds is eternity. Just, and if it's an incomplete pass, the clock stops. Well, gosh darn it. The clock stops if it's an incomplete pass, and if it's completed, so be it. But let the clock run during those plays when the ball was in the middle of the field. Let the clock run a little bit. It would have been fine. Giving Detroit that opportunity made me sick. But again, the mistakes when you had a play stopped, you had a play finished along the way, makes me sick. Of course, Alexander, my good friend that I really like, but unfortunately wasn't his best game today. Mackenzie Alexander, my favorite draft pick over there from Clemson, he made a mistake as well. He held in the red zone right before halftime and helped the Lions get the lead in the first place, get in the end zone. That was extremely frustrating. That was on Anquan Bolden, who ended up getting a touchdown later on. Actually, the hold was on Tate, and then Bolden got in the end zone. My bad. But it was a terrible play. It was unnecessary. Okay, so be it. Maybe you knock the ball away, and maybe he scores a touchdown. You hope he doesn't. But to hold, and then, the throw probably wouldn't have been caught. The odds are it wouldn't have been. But instead, you give them a chance to start over on downs. I just blew it, and that was heartbreaking. Multiple penalties by the Vikings secondary today. This has got to be at the heart of Mike Zimmer today. This had to be a dagger to the heart. Of course, the mistake with the timeout, and what is Mike Zimmer known for is a great secondary. Of course, the defense in general, linebackers and defensive line and such, valuable aspects along the way. And of course, they've been spectacular most of the season, and Mike Zimmer gets a lot of credit for it and such. Players being where they need to be, executing, and of course, Spielman and Zimmer working together on the draft to get these players. Eric Kendricks was out today. Audie Cole filling in that sense. Greenway moving over and Cole filling in at the middle linebacker spot, that type of thing. Greenway had a wonderful game, multiple tackles for loss, and of course the interception. Really liked what Greenway brought for the most part in today's game. He wasn't perfect, and nobody is. But the secondary, that's what Mike Zimmer's known for, as I've been dancing around like crazy here to drive you nuts. But I'm going nuts too. I mean, I'm going in all different directions right now because there's so many things to talk about. And I don't even want to talk about them because I'm pissed off, and I'm sure you are too. The secondary was awful. They didn't make the plays they needed to make. And they were penalized when it looked like there was a stop. Guess what? Red flag. Oh, goody. Somebody was held. Somebody was pass interfered with. It was a load of crap. And it did seem that the refs were a little bit tighter on us than they were on the Lions because Stephon Diggs was basically shoved into the ground on a play that wasn't called. That could have been that ended up being a punt after that. That was extremely frustrating early on. That was a momentum killer that didn't help us at all. That was the only time that Stephon Diggs' play wasn't completed to him along the way, which is kind of crazy. It's just you can go in all different places, but to see the secondary kind of fall apart today a little bit, not that bad, but a little bit, enough to help the Lions win the game, it was really, really frustrating. Stephon Diggs, well, he caught 13 passes today. That's incredible, but nothing great. Only 12 yards. It's like he's turning into like a Percy Harvin without breaking loose, that type of thing in that sense. Lots of short yardage. Adam Thielen he's a stud. That guy has the quickest hands, and he makes the catch in such crazy positions. How can you not love Adam Thielen? That guy, he's not a star, but he is so valuable, and he's going to be a 10-plus year NFL wide receiver, as far as I'm concerned. He deserves to be, absolutely. Cordero Patterson, I think, could be one of the better ones as well. He had a very significant drop in the end zone today, which pissed me off, but luckily the Vikings were able to capitalize right after that to Kyle Rudolph. Thank God for that. But Cordero's got to bring that in. But again, at least Cordero Patterson looking like a number 3 receiver, for the Vikings in the future. The number 2 receiver is Adam Thielen. The number 1 receiver is Stephon Diggs. Charles Johnson can stuff it, as they say in Australia. He can stuff it. He doesn't do anything. The hell with him. Sure, he'll draw a penalty once in a while, but other than that, the hell with Charles Johnson. It was nice to see Laquan Treadwell finally thrown to and completed on a pretty significant first down. It was a 15-yard completion on a 3rd and 9, and I think that's what Laquan Treadwell will bring in the future with his size, and he does have a little bit of speed on occasion. He's not the fastest guy ever, but he has a little bit of that. He has a little bit of that Anquan Bold in him, where he can make those powerful catches, those power plays on 3rd down. I think that's what Laquan Treadwell will be when he develops in this league. I'm not going to call him a bust. It just sucks that the Vikings don't have an offensive lineman instead. That would be nice when you have Adam Thielen, and apparently Cordero Patterson is looking like an NFL receiver at long last. And of course you have Stephon Diggs along the way. You're kind of screwing around with Treadwell when you could have had somebody else on the offensive line, like a Cody White here. Maybe I might repeat that every week until that gets through their head over there at Winter Park. I'm sure they're listening too, but just in case they are, that would be nice if they were. Oh, man. Yeah, so many different directions. It was nice to see the offense improve a bit. You didn't see anything deep from the Vikings the entire game other than, well, of course, no, there really was nothing deep other than the play to Adam Thielen. That was a great play by him. Unfortunately, he was falling down on the play, but he was able to bring the ball in. That's good. That's it, though. There was no spectacular play along the way. The Hillman one was a really, really, really well-designed play, and it was a real timed play. Good vision by Sam Bradford, seeing where Detroit wasn't, and led Hillman in that direction. That's very awesome, and Hillman capitalized. So there was that, but breakdowns defensively that were borderline shocking and incapable of getting short yardage in the red zone. Just drives me absolutely nuts. I mean, we're about 1 for 100 in the red zone right now on short yardage plays. Yes, we completed the 4th down in the red zone finally. We completed one of them to get in the end zone, which almost ended up winning the game. It should have probably won the game, but yeah. But geez, I mean, that was once. I mean, that was once. It happened 15 times the last 3-4 weeks. fourth down plays in the red zone that we ended up basically just giving the ball back to the Lions. And, of course, a lot of that, again, comes back to Blair Walsh because you have no faith in this son of a bitch to make the field goal. You get sick of getting in the red zone and getting zero because the asshole will miss the kick. Pardon my French. My double French with both times there. See, it all comes back to a million things. You can't get forward because the offensive line sucks, and Matt Asiata doesn't have a lot of special skills, and you don't have the faith to just, okay, we're going to kick here, because the asshole missed the kick most of the time. You don't have faith in the guy. He shouldn't have to be 50-50 from field goal range. It shouldn't have to be that way, but it is. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's wrap up the segment. Pardon me, before I dry my throat up and cough to death. Good thing for the cough button there, right? Whew, I'm like choking to death. So there it is. Fran Tarkenton Award. It's going to go to Chad Greenway. Capitalized multiple times, tackles per loss, got the interception. It's not his fault the Vikings offense couldn't do jack squat. It's not his fault. And it's not his fault that the Vikings offensive coordinators and coaches have no faith in Blair Walsh. Zero faith in Blair Walsh, and they have every right to be that way. That means cut the guy. Please, just cut him. Wouldn't Matt Prater look nice in a Vikings uniform, by the way? That son of a biscuit with his 58 and 52 yarders. That looked like he was in his sleep. You know, kind of the way Blair Walsh looked when he was a rookie. Just to kick it in his sleep, blindfolded, just right down the middle. No doubt about it. The second the ball comes off the foot, it's in. It's in, and it doesn't matter how far away it was. That sucker's in. Matt Prater would have made a 65-yarder, maybe even a 68-yarder on that kick because it was dead perfect, and it was way, way far enough. Oh, man, wouldn't he look good in purple? I mean, that was the difference. I hate to say it, but in a lot of ways, that really was the difference. They had faith in the guy, and he got the job done, unlike somebody on the other sideline. Who do you think the Christian Ponder Memorial is? Well, it's the Christian Ponder of kickers, ladies and gentlemen, because his mistakes are easily correctable. The same way Christian Ponder's mistakes were easily correctable. He ain't correcting them, so correct him. Correct him, as they would say in The Shining. Maybe don't kill him or anything like they did in The Shining, but correct him, please. Make the correction. I want to hear tomorrow. I demand, as a Viking fan, as a host of Purple Mafia, that Blair Walsh is no longer on the roster for the Minnesota Vikings at the end of this game. I mean, by next week. He has got to go. There has got to be a way. There has got to be a replacement out there for Blair Walsh. There has to be. And I'm not sitting here scouring the waiver wire and such. I apologize for that. But, I mean, but that's their job. They have to figure something out. There has to be somebody out there that can fit. So there it is. Thank you for that. Thank you for listening. Apologize if this was a little bit crazy, a little bit wild. I'm kind of disoriented right now, and I know I have not been drinking, so please don't even consider that. I'm just don't even know where to go anymore. I'm basically about where Mike Zimmer probably is at this stage. So we'll talk about Norv Turner in segment number 3. That's really where it is, the fan interactions in there and such. So rather than talking about it and coming back and talking about it again. So we'll take a quick break, jump in to the more fun segment, the NFL Roundup and NFC North Roundup, more or less, and, of course, previewing next week's game at high noon. And now, another installment of George Stories. Well, it's lawn cleanup season, and believe it or not, there is a George story involving lawnmowers years ago. Back in the day, like 2001, 2000-ish, my dad offered to help me and my brother mow this enormous lot that some business wanted us to help cut the grass that was really high. So that way there'd be 3 of us cutting it at the same time. Well, there you go. So my dad gets started, starts rolling, and then, of course, me and my brother cutting away. We're all kind of far away from each other, and then I kind of catch up to my dad. And all of a sudden, I'm listening closely, and his mower is just going when it's supposed to be going. The blade wasn't running, and we're talking 45 minutes a time. I walk up to my dad. I say, "Uh-oh, the blade's not running," and uh-oh. And then there it was, the blade switch. I press it, and he says, "Oh no! I thought I was cutting the whole time." Mafia, segment number 2, the little roundup one and preview. The Vikings will be playing the Washington Redskins at high noon in the nation's capital, post-election. So that'll be interesting. We'll figure out what happens here in the next couple of days. If the election's over at that point, you never know. Remember in 2000 things dragged out and got all crazy. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things turn out. I know everybody's got their opinion. I definitely have mine. Some of you that know me on Facebook know I have a pretty strong opinion. Do you want me to say it? I don't know. Should I? Nah, I don't know. Just say who I endorse. I don't know. Well, just know me on Facebook, I guess. Dallas and Cleveland. I might as well start with that one. Oh, goody. The Sunday night one I won't be able to talk about. That's a thriller. I'll definitely have it on. Oakland and Denver. Woo! I like the Raiders, and, Denver's pretty good, too. Wow. The Oakland Raiders are a lot of what I wish the Vikings were on the offensive side of the ball. Derek Carr was available when the Vikings took Teddy Bridgewater, so that kind of is what that is, unfortunately for us. No, let's not start with... I'll start with Dallas, Cleveland. Dallas won on the road, 35-10. Oh, goody. Cleveland Browns exhibiting no punch at all. Whatever. Not much to say. I don't like the Cowboys, and now this sucks. The Vikings' chances of ever getting any type of home field advantage, I think, are pretty much done and dusted, as they say in Australia, unless the Vikings run the table, and the odds of that happening very, 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 very slim, because going into Washington does not spell victory in my eyes, and I wish it did. I really, really wish it did. New Orleans is beating San Francisco right now, 41-23. That's getting close. That's getting close to coming to an end there. I don't know. Yeah, boy, it's like almost feels like I'm recording this too early. What's up with the LA Rams? They give up like no points, 13-3, and they score no points either. That game's wrapping up. Carolina leading in that one, most likely going to win and kind of sort of staying alive, despite the fact they're pretty much out of this thing, which is like ha-ha to me, I guess. I don't like Carolina at all. Can't believe Baltimore is actually like leading the division right now. Baltimore and Pittsburgh, that's an interesting one as well. Baltimore pulling that off. Good for them. I'll take the Raiders over the Steelers any day, and that's good. With Ben Roethlisberger back in action and Baltimore pulling that off, and of course our good friend Mike Wallace scoring the early touchdown for that one and a big play. Good for the Baltimore Ravens. They're in the lead with a 4-4 record. Heck, we might end up winning the division with a 9-7 record the way we're going because of a certain team across the river not doing well either. We'll talk about that later. That makes me smile quite a bit. Tennessee, San Diego, la-di-da. San Diego putting up a nice effort, 33-21 over the Tennessee Titans right now in the fourth quarter. Keep that thing going. These are all games I don't really have a whole lot to say about anyway. There's the other one that I could keep talking about. Almost should let the clock tick on that one for a little bit longer. Well, yeah, there. It just got better. Ha-ha. Yeah, I'll leave that alone. It's making me smile. Miami beat the Jets. They're kind of semi-staying alive there in the AFC, if that's humanly possible for them. I've always kind of had a special place for the Dolphins. I don't know what it is. They're 4-4. They're hanging along. They're hanging in there with the Buffalo Bills. Where they were on the bye this week. Dolphins and Bills tied for second place in that division. The Jets just... I don't know. They looked so promising last year. I don't know what happened, other than the quarterback is not real good, obviously. Kansas City, I don't like them at all, but they're doing well. They're doing very well. They're 6-2. Raiders, Broncos, and Chiefs, 6-2 at this point in time. Crazy. Absolutely nuts that they're as good as they are, even despite the fact things kind of... that's crazy how good these three teams are. Kansas City, I've never really been that impressed with them. I don't think they're going to advance anywhere in the playoffs. But we'll just let things play out as they do. We'll talk about that in January. Irrelevant conversation at this stage. Buffalo's playing Seattle. They're not on the bye. Go Buffalo, because I don't want Seattle to win anything. I hate Seattle. And the Vikings right now would still be ahead of Seattle. At least they would have been. They were coming into this week. Not anymore. Falcons are ahead of the Vikings now, too. It's getting pretty grim for the Vikings. They were able to be hosting a wild card game against the New York Giants. They would be hosting it, so that's the good side of things. But you know how I feel about the Giants in the playoffs and what that means. The Vikings have beat the Giants in the playoffs before, but they've also lost to the Giants multiple times in the playoffs. And with Eli Manning at the quarterback, I don't like our chances at all. Despite the Vikings whooping up on that Giants team, my God, it's like night and day when I look at that. Speaking about the Giants again, they are 5-3 for a reason, because they beat the Philadelphia Eagles, who would not be in the playoffs today. Another road loss for the Philadelphia Eagles. Got to talk about this. Very significant situation brewing there in New York. They're 5-3, and they're leading the division. And if they're going to make the playoffs, the New York Giants are, well, they might win the Super Bowl. The San Francisco Giants did not win the Super Bowl, or the World Series, pardon me, because they ran into a team that was ending a curse. And they climbed the steepest possible mountain, the steepest possible path, now that I'm going to venture into baseball quick. See, it's because I talked about the Giants. The Cubs, they took the steepest road possible. They beat Madison Bumgarner to get there, to get past L.A., who looked like they were going to do good, to get two playing L.A., and then past them when they looked like they might beat the Cubs. And then it looked like the Cleveland Indians had the Cubs whooped. The pitching staff was shutting them down. And then you had a reverse Cleveland Cavaliers where the Cleveland Indians take a 3-1 lead in the series. The Cubs couldn't hit worth crap. And then Bryant, who I think should have been the MVP of the World Series, the third baseman, who's just an up-and-coming stud, hit 39 home runs for the Cubs. Pops a home run, gets things going, starts the wheels turning. He is the igniter for that Cubs team, and he got that going in all three of the next games here. After the next three games, 5, 6, and 7, he is the igniter for that team. Started rallies, just like Paul Molitor did, but he's like Paul Molitor with a lot of power, but Paul Molitor used to do for the Brewers back in the good old days, and the Toronto Blue Jays, and kind of the Twins too, despite the fact that he was old and the Twins were a little different. They weren't really a playoff team. But Brian got things going for that team, and all of a sudden the bats finally woke up, and the Cubs just kind of took over and won that series. I kind of compare it to the Boston Bruins in the NHL when it looked like Vancouver had the Bruins whooped, and things changed so dramatically. And all those Cleveland pitchers who were so good suddenly were so vulnerable. And you're going against a great pitching staff in Cleveland, and you have to win Game 6 and 7 on the road, and you win both of them. I mean, that's the steepest road. That's the steepest mountain possible, and they got it done. And that's the only way to end a curse. And if the Vikings ever are going to end the curse, so to speak, that's the only way to do it. End a drought, end a curse, whatever you want to call it, a curse or a drought. The only way to do it is to pull off the impossible, basically. The Cubs did it, and it's finally over, 108 and all that stuff. And I know everybody's talked about it a billion times. You're probably tired of it. I'm actually a little bit tired of it, but not too bad. But I had to say something since I do comment on this stuff, and maybe you kind of care if I comment on it or not, and I did. Now the Vikings they're on the clock. The longest drought in the NFL is the Arizona Cardinals, and the longest drought in baseball, God bless them, is the Cleveland Indians now. It's them, and they were very close. They almost got it, and they didn't get it. But it's also the way Game 7 turned out. Not only the fact that the Cubs had to come back from 3-1, not only the fact they had to win 6 and 7 on the road to do it, but the fact that their unbeatable closer gave up a 2-run home run in the bottom of the ninth, which forced the extra innings. Luckily, he survived that and didn't give up the game-winning run in the bottom of the ninth, did Aroldis Chapman. But when you give up that type of momentum change and that, on the road like that in the seventh game, it's over, folks. Every time it's over. Even Mariano Rivera, the legend of all time, didn't survive that. Yet the Cubs did. You're telling me there ain't something to climb in the steepest mountain to a championship? The Cubs did it, and amazing. So there it is. That's what the Vikings need to do to end the curse. A team that has been unbelievable in the playoffs for many years is the New York Giants. And again, if the Vikings play them in U.S. Bank Stadium, I think the Vikings probably, the Vikings are the kind of team that would beat them. It's just, I don't know. The Giants turned into that crazy team in the playoffs, so I don't like that too much. Good on the Giants for getting this whole situation to develop over there. They're in good position right now to possibly compete for that division. That would be quite impressive if they're able to pull that off. So now we're trying to bounce around some more, if humanly possible. I'm not sure it is possible, though. Los Angeles making things slightly more interesting, but Carolina's probably going to wrap that up. I'm going to leave that alone for the moment. What else is there to go to? Besides we start previewing stuff. Nope. Atlanta beat Tampa Bay. They continue to rock and roll. That was on Thursday night, actually. Crazy. Atlanta's offense continuing to kick some butt. They're 6-3. The Vikings will play them later this season, and that'll be a very, very interesting game. And hopefully by then the Vikings will be winning football games again. Because if they're not, it's over. We can pack our bags. But the only good news is, well, unless Detroit wins the division, which maybe they will. I don't know. They have a winning record now. They're 5-4. They're very much in the playoff hunt. They're not in the playoffs, but they're in the hunt. Another team, though, that a lot of us would be annoyed with, that a lot of us hate very much, a team you kind of fear a little bit coming in. Well, they're going to have the same record as the Detroit Lions coming into this week because they're going to be 4-4. They trail the Indianapolis Colts 31-13 at the moment. Gotta love it. In Lambeau Field, Indianapolis Colts, a team that you think is pretty much wrapped up. And with Andrew Luck performing the way he has today, you'd think the Colts are dead meat, but they're not. 31-13. I can't believe it. And the Packers definitely threatening on the goal line here. And nothing much going. That's good. Aaron Rodgers, he's kind of back to where he was, 54%. He's missed a lot of plays, incomplete passes, interceptions, 2 interceptions for Luck so far. Gore, well, just okay. Ty Montgomery, decent on the ground, but not giving the ball very much because they're playing from behind. Again, a million missed targets from Jordy Nelson, just cannot complete passes. Richard Rodgers, whatever. Devontae Adams, missed passes, only half of the catches made out of that. They're not connecting over there in Green Bay. So a team that was picked 85% over 15 with the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders, where the hell am I coming up with that? The Indianapolis Colts, and they lead the way right now. That is just incredible. Crazy. And pardon me for banging on the screen here a minute. I was getting ticked off about something. But go Colts, I guess, for 1 week. I don't like the Colts, but if they're playing the Packers, I love them. Packers are going to be 4-4, so the Vikings stay in first place in the division. It's gone from a team that would have a first-round bye to one of the same old stories where it's just a weak wild card division leader. Oh, goody. Isn't that depressing when you have all this hope and this excitement and it just vanishes into thin air? Oh, it sucks. And the chance of the Vikings catching the Cowboys at this point is probably impossible. They're 7-1, and the Vikings 2 games behind, and the Falcons 6-3, so a half game behind. That's good. The Falcons are still catchable, but they would have the bye today if the season started. And Seattle's still lurking too. They would host the Packers at the moment, but I think that's going to go to Detroit at the end of the game today because Detroit did beat the Packers earlier this season. So Detroit would be in the playoffs with the 6th seed. That is freaking funny. So a team that isn't a 6th seed right now but could be a 6th seed at some point. Unfortunately, they had the bye this week, but oh well, that's okay. The Washington Redskins, a very good offense, a very balanced offense, at least in the passing game in terms of Kirk Cousins hits so many different receivers equally. It's pretty impressive, actually, when you think about it. Matt Jones, solid on the ground. He gets 4.6 a carry. That ain't bad. He's fumbled 3 times, though. Lost 2 of them. That's not good. So hopefully the Vikings can take advantage of that. In the past, when you see that kind of stuff, you think, there you go. The Vikings are going to take advantage. And then 7 interceptions from Kirk Cousins. That's 9 turnovers right there from just 2 guys that are very important to the Washington Redskins' success. So you figure, let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's take advantage of it. But the Vikings aren't forcing turnovers anymore. You're not seeing forced fumbles. You're not seeing multiple interceptions. And you're not seeing much of a pass rush either. In fact, you're not seeing any pass rush. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Vikings right now on both sides of the ball, to be quite frank. And it's driving me nuts. Jamison Crowder, the leading receiver on the team. He's actually had 10 more receptions than the second guy, but the yardage is all about the same. Jordan Reed's got 42 catches. He's actually leading in catches. Crowder's leading in yards. They're pretty close, but 3 touchdowns for Reed so far in the year. You're seeing a very balanced offense. Again, Pierre Garçon right behind that. Vernon Davis is also a pretty significant factor on that club as well. 316 yards. So it's not like I'm sitting here meaning to read stats. It's just saying it's a very balanced passing offense by the Washington Redskins. You're not seeing a whole lot of huge plays necessarily. You're seeing some though. They're not immune to it, but they're hitting guys they need to hit, and that's good for them, I suppose. It sucks for us a little bit. I'm not too excited coming into this game. The Vikings' success rate in Washington. Well, we won on the road in '93 to help the Vikings make the playoffs that year after having a mediocre season. They finished 9-7 that year and made the playoffs barely. This current Viking team right now, I don't know. I don't like our chances going into Washington. They're not a great team, but I don't know. I mean, it looks like the kind of situation where the Vikings defense would just not get the job done. And the Vikings offense, I don't know where to go with it. Washington's defense, not the best thing you ever saw, that's for sure. But is the Vikings offense something you can count on? And can you make field goals on the road with Blair Walsh? I mean, do I even need to talk about that anymore? is that even worth talking about anymore? I mean, is it? I don't know. The Redskins still very much in the playoff hunt. They're 4-3-1. They were one of the teams that played to a tie. They looked kind of good against Cincinnati last week. I mean, 27 points in London against a pretty good Cincinnati team. So I don't know. I don't like the Vikings' chances. I mean, can I really pick a win right now? I don't think so. I don't like the Vikings' chances at the moment. Washington Redskins in the bottom half overall with their defense. They're allowing a lot more points than we are. The Vikings before today's game were allowing 14.9, still number one in the league. But I don't know. I don't like our chances against them at this point. The rush defense is not good. They're way down there in the bottom quarter, allowing 123 on the ground for the passing game. Washington Redskins right in the middle, in fact, a little bit above the middle. So, I'm not sure what to go with this one. I mean, I basically, I'm just not going to pick the Vikings to win the game. A balanced passing offense and even a decent running game that's consistent out of Matt Jones, who's, again, got 4 touchdowns. The only hope is the Vikings can force turnovers in this game. I mean, that's it. That's it. Pressure the quarterback and force turnovers. I mean, it's just 101. And it's the kind of stuff the Vikings did early in the season that changed games, particularly on the road, against Carolina, against Tennessee, and it even helped against Green Bay and such. But the Carolina-Tennessee type of games, just huge game changers for the Vikings along the way. Huge turnovers forced, and it changed everything. And the Vikings need to do that if they're going to get things back. If they're going to be back to playing like a team that deserves a first-round bye in the NFC, they need to bring that back against this Washington Redskins team. The Vikings lose to the Redskins, they are barely going to make the playoffs. They might not make it at all. And again, with things heading the way they are, the Redskins being a capable offense and a not so good defense, but I don't trust their offense right now. I'm not sure I can pick the Vikings to do anything at this stage. The Redskins have 22 sacks on the year. That's not bad. They're one of the better teams in that category. So again, that's not good for us. Washington Redskins way up there. They're actually 6th in the league in sacks. Vikings were way up there. Not anymore. I mean, it's been a huge drop-off. You almost forgot about us. Yeah, we're still stuck at 20. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's changed dramatically the past few weeks here. That's what needs to change if the Vikings are going to win the game. Seriously, like I just said, 101. I mean, pressure the quarterback and force turnovers. That's it. I mean, it's that simple. That's all I got to say. They actually have 21 sacks because we got to Matthew Stafford once today. Woo-hoo. And the Vikings need to do that again. They need to get to Kirk Cousins 3 or 4 sacks, I think, in the game if they're going to have any hope to win that one. You need several sacks in the game, and you need 2 turnovers. You need at least 1 interception and 1 fumble recovery, or 2 interceptions, whatever it is. And you need to do something with it afterward. They have to. That's the only way. I mean, the momentum right now is not on the Vikings side at all. Basically, the Vikings play anything like they did today, they will lose the game. And the Vikings were better today than they were against Philadelphia and against Chicago. And again, that tells you something, that the Vikings will lose to the Redskins if they're not, significantly better. And I mean significantly better than they've been the past 3 weeks after the bye. So we'll wrap things up. Right now, I'm going to pick the Redskins to win the game. I want to come out in good faith and pick the Vikings to get it right, but I can't do that because I'm not seeing it. Go out there and show it. Prove it. Not only to me, but to all of us Viking fans, and to yourselves and to other teams in this league, that you're still a threat to be reckoned with defensively. And you know what? Let's get some offense together too against a pass defense that's, well, it's not the worst thing ever. Maybe we might be able to run against this club because they're in the bottom 4 in that category. They allow over 123 yards a game on the ground. That's not bad. Take advantage of it. Please take advantage of it. The other thing, too, though, that is not good is the Redskins are tops in the league in forced fumbles. Actually, they're second behind New Orleans. Surprised New Orleans would be in there. Tied for second in that case. So that's another thing that's a little bit scary. Just hang on to the frickin' football. That would be nice. I'm going to pick the Redskins to win the game 21-17. 21-17 right now. 21-17, Washington will win the game. This is the first time I'm actually picking the Vikings to lose. You realize I picked the Vikings to win every game so far, which is kind of silly and kind of goofy, but it's like they were rebound wins the last couple of weeks. Now I'm picking the Vikings to lose to Washington. So I hope I'm wrong again. I hope it's 4 weeks in a row that I'll be wrong. I'll take a 4-game losing streak for the Vikings to win in Washington, but right now I don't see it. Maybe the Vikings will get 1 turnover and they'll get 2 sacks maybe or something, but it needs to be 4 sacks and 2 turnovers for the Vikings to win the football game, and I am standing by that right here, right now. There it is, 21-17, Washington defeats the Vikings. Their offense will be better, or will be good enough, and the Vikings defense will not be good enough, and the Vikings offense will not be good enough. The only hope is to get the first downs that we weren't getting on the ground the past couple of weeks here. Take advantage of the running game. That's how you can, the run defense of Washington. That's how you can hopefully move the chains and win the football game. But right now, right now, I'll believe it when I see it. So there it is. I've said it enough. 21-17 Washington. We'll be back for fan interaction right after this. We are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 3, fan interaction segment, looking to wrap things up here. So I'll do a quick update. Green Bay ultimately made a comeback a bit in that game, but Indianapolis finished the job 31-26. So they're in the playoff hunt in the NFC East, or AFC, pardon me, I'm going crazy. And the Green Bay Packers would be out of the playoffs if the season ended today. So you got to like that. That would put Washington, our next week's opponent, in the playoff picture, and if they beat us, they'll be staying in the playoff picture, and the Vikings then will be, well, I don't know, like the sixth seed or something, depending on how things go. But Green Bay 4-4. I never thought I'd see that with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, but we're seeing it. I'm glad I'm seeing it though. Don't have a problem with it at all. So let's get to the fan interaction. It's just that this stuff happened very quickly later in the second segment as I was doing the show. It was just kind of happening in the background, and then of course, during the break, the game ended. So rock and roll. Glad to see Indianapolis hang on and win that game, even though I'm not a Colts fan of any kind. The Twitter account is at Purple Mafia Show, at Purple Mafia Show. Let's get on board now. You're going to get a lot of interaction with Mad Martin and such. I think it's mostly Mad Martin. Wow, there's a lot of... Yeah, he was getting frustrated during the game like the rest of us. Where are we? Holy smokes. He was really upset. And I was reading most of it, and then I just, it's just kind of getting locked into the game there, so it's just kind of one of those things. Mad Martin was saying, got to win today. Yep, still in shock at Norv's departure. Yep, we'll talk about that in the Facebook part. He's saying, still need some points in this next drive. Not another 3 and out. Skip a couple of them because it's during the game type of stuff. Who's this 11 guy? Yep, that was when, Treadwell made the catch. Justin in Rochester said, actually, we did get them in Philly and didn't do bleep with them, kind of like now. Let's see, who was you? I was saying, there's a game-changing play we didn't get in the past 2 weeks. Oh, well, yeah, the interceptions. I got what you mean. Yeah, yep. Okay, yes, Justin. Justin in Rochester at jday_24. Oh, yeah, I remember how that kind of rhymes good. My bad, Justin. I don't know. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, but you didn't see it against Chicago at all. You saw nothing. See, they were happening early, and then later on, when you desperately needed something, nothing came about. But yeah, that's kind of the new theme. You get the game-changing play, and then do absolutely nothing with it. Exactly, like you're saying, kind of like, no, that's a star candidate. That's a good one. And my bad there. So there you go. Mad Martin is saying they are, and hopefully Justin still listens. He used to. He's kind of in and out, just because. I don't know. For a while, it was like a good luck thing. It was kind of strange, but that was way back in 2012. Like Justin Day is old school. He goes back to 2009. Very old school for this show. And Purple Mafia is extremely old school in the podcasting world. If you want the truth, you have people talking about, like, I started my show back in 2013. Man, he's one of the granddaddies. Really? I started in 2008. Ooh-hoo-hoo. And Dave Martin is out of Northern Scotland. And then Justin's in Rochester, Minnesota. He's originally from Brooklyn Park, which is where I live right now. I just know from his Facebook page when he mentioned it a while back. Dave saying, sorry, but bleeping hell. Start at the 18 and go back 31 yards. What? Need a drink. Yep, that was after the Yeah, the Vikings were that was after the interception from Greenway, forced helped by Danielle Hunter, and yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're going the wrong way. Yeah, that's what he's saying. Have to wonder when the D will give up with no help from this. Oh, that last drive was a disgrace. It really was. Yeah, it just goes on and on. Just a frustration. He says he feels like he's watching a game from 2013. Woo, boy, that's a, it felt like it, didn't it? I mean, I even compared 2013 a little bit. Just like, what the hell's going on? The defense won't be that bad, but still, just the lack of production, just garbage offense. He says, got to hope for some Zimmer adjustments at the half, but yeah, but it's possible this is the worst O in the league right now. Oh, they're way down there, my friend, way down there. What the? That's funny. Did I miss? Yeah, oh, that's what he's doing, a funny face. Yep, with Blair Walsh with the eyes all cockeyed. That's about right. A creative play, and that was the missed extra point. Yep, that was a big bummer after the Hillman, and then ultimately the touchdown to Mr. Kyle Rudolph. If it's 4th and down, just go for it. And then unfortunately we never make it, but luckily we did make that one. And the extra point that time. Yeah, you almost gone for 3, but gone for 2. I mean, pardon me, but well, that would have been a fire job if he didn't get in. He'd probably be fired after the game. No, people would be calling for it. Here we go. Matt Martin says, I'm all for second chances, but Walsh has burned all his boats. Now time to move on. That's where I completely agree. Bad defense in the overtime. Yeah, it was very New Orleans Saints-like. Yeah, more political ads. Yep. Why? Wow, but it did feel good to be pretenders for a few weeks. A loss to the Lions at home. Terrible D in overtime. Yep, very much so. He says, I'm not ready to say the season is over, but all those key injuries catching up with the team now. Yes, it really is. Because what was I saying? Did I say something there? No. I was about ready to do that, though. Dave was also saying, since the Eagles game, not the question they had in the first 6, got to wonder what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, I mean, it's just not been the same since then, since the Eagles game. Yeah, it's unbelievable. No sympathy for Blair Walsh. He needs to get the bleep out. And who do we replace him with? Oh, and next with no cap. Yep, that was Malcolm that said no sympathy for Blair Walsh. Pardon me, Malcolm out of California. Yep, and Mad Martin was saying, who do we replace him with? Anyway, Malcolm wraps up the Twitter with anyone. You can sign a kicker for the minimum. Well, Shane Graham's out there. That's a name. Josh Brown, believe it or not, is out there. That might be one to look at, is Josh Brown. I'm not sure what people think about him. I'm not a Josh Brown expert, I'll admit. I wish I was, but I'm not. Robbie Gould would have been nice, but he went to the New York Giants and he made 4 extra points today. And, well, they're in a higher seed than the Vikings right now, which is really annoying, actually. I mean, really annoying. Yeah, it's complete BS. The Vikings should not be in the position they're in, but we are what we are. Let's get to I'm going to talk about the call-in line first. The call-in line is 209-736-7877, 209-736-7877. It is a voicemail. Do treat it as such. Mention what you're calling, which show you're calling in for, which is Purple Mafia, and do your statement, shout-out, question, comment, and rock and roll on here with me. It would be greatly appreciated. Of course, see, there's the regular phone line. You can call from a cell phone. Then there's the Call Now button on the Facebook page, which is, well, I'll tell you how to get there in a second. There's a Call Now button, which will directly connect you to TSS through a Facebook Messenger, which will, in turn, again, be the voicemail. So don't worry, you don't have to talk live or anything, even though that would be really fun to do that sometime, but not with the current state of how I'm podcasting. And then, of course, there's the audio submission route where you record from your smart device on your, some app or whatever, and keep it like a minute or so, just like every other call, 2 minutes, and then email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com, paladinolive@yahoo.com. That's everything you heard will be in the show description on iTunes, Stitcher, and the sportstuff.com, and probably any other application out there that might mirror iTunes and Stitcher and such. There you go. To get to the Facebook page, it is facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. That also will be in the show description as well. But please go there, click like, join the page, and comment away. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I'll dance around in the... well, no, I'm not going to go there yet. We start with the last episode, The Way It Is, because that's what it was. Gerald String says, great show, Joey, and thank you so much. I always wonder which show was my best one. I don't know. Thank you so much, Gerald out of Nebraska. The numbers have been way down. I don't know if I'm guessing it's the whole bandwagon effect where everybody was all excited and then down it goes. Because it happened in the past in like 2012, 2013, stuff like that. 13 especially, when things went way downhill. People were tired of Ponder, and I didn't get that many listeners that year. It was kind of frustrating, but still a decent amount, and a lot of the pillars stuck around, and thank you very much. Now, of course, the news that took place during the week, and it's definitely not breaking news on this show at this stage, because I did not do a special episode, which I could have, but I'm just, I may be a bit, see, listen to me, I might be a bit disoriented on the show today because I've been doing long cleanups all week. I'm exhausted, and of course the game didn't bring up any spirits, as I might be already a little bit down in the dumps because I'm exhausted, working my ass off, and it's not over. It's not going to be over for a while. So just giving you my apologies and a little bit of hint as to why, even though it's not really an excuse. But Norv Turner resigned as the Vikings offensive coordinator on Wednesday morning. Pat Shurmur to take over immediately. And you always kind of suspected when Pat Shurmur came in from the Eagles that maybe, just maybe, this was some kind of message like, okay, Norv, your job isn't necessarily as safe as you might think it is. Though it seems like Mike Zimmer and Norv Turner were, like there's a huge respect from Zimmer and such. I don't know how to read into this. The guys on KFAN act like, oh, Norv Turner's the nicest guy ever, blah. Well, not the guys, PA anyway. And then others like Barrero might be like, well, I think he might have been forced out. There was a lot of questionable play calls and stuff, and plus bringing in all these other head coaches and coordinators like Sperano and Pat Shurmur. Little bit of eyebrow raiser for me, and I kind of wasn't against it at all, actually, for that very reason. And of course, the connections of Pat Shurmur to Sam Bradford, which of course helped the Vikings feel confident bringing in Sam Bradford. And then once Bradford's here, well, yeah, hello. Pat Shurmur was offensive coordinator with the Cardinals, the St. Louis Rams, and the Philadelphia Eagles last season, both teams that Sam Bradford was the starting quarterback at the time. Hello. They weren't world beaters, but he had some success together. That was a fun offense last year to watch, actually, with Chip Kelly there. But unfortunately, the defense was kind of wide open. I wish we got to go against that defense this year, but we didn't. On 1500, they were talking about how Turner was probably basically fired, but we'll just say you quit type of thing, or please do quit, or you're fired type of thing. I don't know what to make of it. And then as Judge Zolgad even going into like a possible conspiracy theory of maybe this could have been Rick Spielman, actually. This may have been more of a Rick Spielman move, which is quite possible. Spielman does have the authority. He does. He's the general manager. He's the leader of the franchise on the football side. Because, well, he kind of buried Cordero Patterson for the longest time. And others out there, and Patterson was kind of like that sports car in the garage that never got used, that type of thing. Since Norv Turner got here, Cordero Patterson was kind of not used ever. I don't know. It is what it is. Turner's plays were not good. The play calling was extremely questionable the past few weeks. But, I mean, it seems like this happens with every team, and I've always wondered what the hell they're doing. Like, you're behind, and you're handing the ball off, you're letting the clock run, it's 3rd and 9, and you're doing short plays, just hoping you're gonna get some blocks, right plays, right time, so the guy breaks loose for 12, maybe 100 yards, whatever. It's just gambling to me. I don't know. I mean, try to at least be a little bit closer to the markers. I mean, really, like a 2-yard pass, 1-yard pass, hoping the guy's gonna break like 3 tackles or something. I mean, the blocking isn't a guarantee, and it certainly is not a guarantee you're gonna break tackles to get there. It's basically punting before you're punting. I don't know. And Turner's approach with Bradford as well, the 5-step drop, takes longer and such. Takes longer for the play to develop. And then the offensive line's protection obviously isn't very good, which then leaves Bradford in the potential of being on his back before he can even release the football, which, of course, is a sack. Common sense, right? And Pat Shurmur's offense was a lot quicker in Philadelphia. In fact, it was Pat Shurmur with Chip Kelly, that is, was the quickest offense in football last year. It was like unbelievable numbers and how quick Bradford and the Eagles were getting plays off from the line of scrimmage on and on and on as they were starting to set. Just hut, okay, complete, here we go, down. Okay, hut. It was like a constant hurry-up offense there in Philadelphia, and they're getting rid of the ball immediately type of thing. That's how you avoid getting sacks rather than having plays that take time to develop, and then next thing you know, Bradford can't get rid of the ball before it's too late. So a lot of situations with Norv Turner were some red flags, and I'm not against Norv Turner no longer being the offensive coordinator of the Vikings, regardless if he resigned, was fired, or hates the Vikings and decided to leave. He was obviously very frustrated with the offensive line because it wasn't working. Plain and simple, it wasn't working, and he's a guy who's had a lot of success in his career. So it's like one of those things, maybe he felt, I can't do it anymore, or this isn't a good fit, or whatever it is. Whatever it is, it's not a good fit, and best of luck to Norv Turner in the future. Pat Shurmur, it looked a little better today. It did. So hopefully it continues. Bradford was not bad today. He really wasn't. The in-game thread, kind of bouncing around a bit. Yankee was saying, oh, those Vikings, wake me up when they are back to the way they were before the bye. Yep. Cedric Paulding out of Mississippi says, why did we play that soft-ass defense? We should put pressure on Stafford. And yes, the title of this episode is Prevent Defense. I thought I was going to mention that in the first segment, but I never even did. I just kind of kept going in whatever directions I was going. And yeah, it was just a prevent defense situation. Prevent defense does what it does. It prevents wins. Justin Mayer Henry out of Colorado was saying another loss we can blame on Blair, kinda. But this team is looking like they are going to drop the rest of the season in the loss column. Total garbage. I'm sick of this team making me feel like shit year after year. I feel you completely. I'm sick of it too. And I'm not going to leave the team, and I don't think he is either. But it's just, it's so damn frustrating. This is in the in-game, but it's like the late in-game. So it's basically post-game stuff. So it's always good to kind of backtrack into this. Why the hell not? Cedric Welding saying Blair Walsh needs to be cut ASAP. I agree. Shane Graham is rated as a D free agent. I don't know. I don't know. I always liked Shane Graham in the past with Cincinnati and the Saints later on. I always liked him. I don't know. He can't be worse than Blair Walsh at this point. He's just, he's an older guy now, this and that. He had a hell of a career, though, when he was good. And Josh Brown out there, former Giant. I don't know. I mean, at least bring them in and see what they can do. I mean, that doesn't mean you have to sign them on the spot for $10 million a year. Just bring them in and check them out. See what's going on. Light a fire under the SOB, and if they look like they're sharp, tell Blair Walsh, I'm sorry, but we can't count on you. And if we can't count on you, we're not going to keep you, period. Good luck in the future. Maybe he'll sign with the Giants, God forbid. Or, the Giants, Robbie Gould, or with somebody else. I don't know, the Bears or something. Brett McCarthy says, I can't believe this just happened. Oh, wait, yes, I can. Keep playing like this. The season is over. Yep, and that was Brett McCarthy out of South Dakota. Justin Muir Henry says, let's keep dropping losses and draft Lamar Jackson. Yeah, that guy is something out of Louisville. He's like Teddy Bridgewater on super steroids. I mean, that guy. Well, he's Teddy Bridgewater with a better arm and better legs. Yeah, he's freaking awesome. Lamar Jackson is going to be awesome. And I don't want to go in the Michael Vick route. I don't like Michael Vick. I always thought he was overrated. He was inaccurate. He wasn't a winner. He was extremely athletic and had a big arm, but you need the accuracy with the arm, and it seemed like he wasn't the kind of guy that's going to carry you into like a big run. He was a highlight reel, but he wasn't a winner. That's just the vibe I got, and that's a lot of people out there. It's not just Michael Vick. That's a lot of players in many sports, especially at the quarterback position as well. I think Matt Ryan is a guy who's much more of a highlight reel quarterback than, and I don't mean with the running, but like just the great plays, than he is a winner, a guy who's going to win a Super Bowl for you. I said it. Oh, wait. Yes, I did. Brett McCarthy and Cedric Paulding wrapping this section up saying this is Cedric Paulding saying we can't draft him until next year. He's a true sophomore. Yeah, he's really young, Lamar Jackson. Brett McCarthy says, has Walsh been let go yet? Not yet. I'll get to what Zimmer said here quick as we jump into the post-game conversation. I think I have it loaded. I thought I did, and I do somewheres. Zimmer was saying, for the first time in 3 weeks, this team fought like how I expect them to fight. If we continue to do these kind of things, we'll win football games. And yeah, they were better. They were better on the offensive side. The defensive side, I think they were worse, actually. Yes, they were. But it was nice to see Danielle Hunter kind of create a little havoc. Zimmer's saying, I was trying to let the clock down a bit. That was the whole 23 seconds. I know we still had another timeout left, and if we didn't score, I was going to let it run down a little bit if it was going to be the end of the football game. So, yeah, that would have been, yeah. So his reasoning is if we didn't, he would have let it run down some more. Like he was thinking if we didn't get in on that play, but I don't know. You can't always count on that. What was it? It was a second down. Because I remember the Vikings did convert finally on a fourth down, and then they start from the 5. They had 4 chances at the 5, and, well, they scored a touchdown on, I believe it was either the first or second down on the play. So Zimmer, but if you were going to play it that way, I would have ran the ball, not passed it. That was I don't know what the hell to think of it. It was I guess it was kind of a running play. And it was an unexpected one with Rhett Ellison. And he barely hung on to that ball in the amount of time he did. It was barely. Zimmer says, if I had to do it all over again, I would probably have rushed 4. Yep, and tried to get it that way. But he spread it around and made a play. And this is about Matthew Stafford in the overtime. He would have rushed 4 to Matthew Stafford, but he spread the ball around. And about Blair Walsh, he says, we've got to obviously make some kicks. And after the game, he didn't want to evaluate where things stand with the struggling kicker. Hopefully that's a sign that he's thinking of letting him go. I don't know, because in the past he would just say, no, he's our kicker. So I don't know what to make of it. Post-game thoughts, let's jump into that now, this second. Sorry for the noise. Off and on. Justin Mayer Henry, who is a star candidate for this episode, says, I forgot to give it out last week, and I had the list in my head. And thanks for not writing it down. I'm mad at myself for that. I would have named them for last week and this week. So I really apologize. Oh, man. I really apologize for that. That's a bummer. Dave Martin was going to get Dave Martin was going to get the gold star for last week. I do remember that. Dave Martin. And I can't remember who else now. Damn it. I can't remember. I'll just say Dave Martin for the gold star. Shoot. Yeah, but Justin Day and Justin Mayer Henry. So the Justins are probably going to get stars this week, most likely. Justin Mayer Henry says, this team is utter garbage. I honestly hate this team more than I love them sometimes. I know exactly what you're saying, brother. He says, I'm so sick of being depressed year after year. Another total flop. It's sad that with 23 seconds left, I knew they were, yeah, I mean, I was afraid too, shoot. I knew they were going to lose when they had the lead. Yep. They had the lead for like 23 seconds in the game, didn't they? They had the lead. Do you realize that? They had the lead for 23 seconds in this game. That is atrocious. At home against Detroit, yes, Detroit's playing better this year. But the Detroit Lions never win here. And you know what? They're 4-4. They're not, they're 5-4, pardon me. They're not, 5-1. So whatever. 5-4 is not that great. You got to take care of this team that you know who they are and what they're all about. And, you only allowed 13 points from the Lions until that last second. You got to finish the job, you idiots. Ugh, drives me nuts. You a bunch of dummies like some old school coach, what was his name? I can't remember. McCarville? I can't remember why the hell I'm forgetting his name. I'm losing my mind. Oy. So he says that is what the team has done to us all. We expect them to let us down after they had us high on our emotions. They stab you in the heart and leave you to bleed out. Yep, exactly, Justin Mayer Henry, and that is a superstar candidate. Gerald String generated some responses. He's saying being a long-term Viking fan is not for the weak of heart, that's for sure. It's not for the wee lads, as they say. Not for the wee lads, yes. For those in Scotland would say something like that, and I'm not making fun of Scottish at all. I love. Oh man, I was just thinking of what it says on the Scotch Ale for the founder's dirty bastard. It's not for the wee lads, or ain't for the wee lads. Robert Skull Viking Fisk says, I'm 54 years old. I have been rooting for the Vikings since I was a young child. My heart has been broken so many times, yet for all the Super Bowls, for their piss poor effort and lack of going for the throat. When they have victory in their hands, they choose to leave it in the... Where did it go? They choose to leave it in the valley of defeat. Yeah, exactly, man. And Justin Mayer Henry says, at least the Packers are losing. And yes, they did. They were losing by a lot more than they lost by. But, well, the Raiders are up 3-0 at the moment. But Denver's attempting to drive, I think. Well, they were until that happened. But, boy, football is a game of bobbly, isn't it? What the hell? What the hell was that? Oh, okay. It was like catch, no, not catch, almost intercepted, no, none of the above, incomplete pass, punt. That's football for you. Sebastian Barton, also known as Sebastian Balls, of the Purple Press Box, and I will also give a shout out to MN Vikings Haven, hosted by Trevor Rickeren on Facebook. Do go to that page and follow it or join it, whatever it is, and comment on there. He's kind enough to let me post a link to Purple Mafia on there, and of course Sebastian Barton, the Purple Press Box, which is on the Spreaker application on smartphones of Apple and Android. Sebastian says, pathetic, piss poor team effort, no pressure on Stafford, exactly, and no offense. Can't score to save their lives. Yeah. Really, though, I mean, you had some accurate passing, but then you couldn't get the first downs in the red zone. You just couldn't get a first frickin' down. Fourth down, whatever. You know, you get to a fourth down and you try to kick it, and then that happens. Or you get pushed so far back you can't even attempt a field goal, or you have no faith in your kicker, so you go for it on fourth, and regardless, you wind up with absolutely frickin' nothing. That tells me you got to cut Blair Walsh, because you're trying to force it through. You have no faith in the guy, and then when he is out there to kick it, he just gives you what he gives you. Patrick Grant, a man of few words the past couple of weeks, says heartbreaking. Brett McCarthy says too many missed opportunities. Get rid of Walsh. He also says no pressure on defense at all. So agree. Brad Graves says SMH. He's shaking his head, basically. Gerald String out of Nebraska saying, great teams find ways to win games like these. Divisional games don't necessarily have to be pretty, but we're not a great team. Not trying to make excuses either, but just too many hurdles to overcome with all the injuries. If I finally caught up on this. And Gerald String was the gold star for last week. That's who it was. And then Dave Martin was the silver, and the bronze was going to, I was going to give it to the Robert Skull Viking Fisk, who had a pretty good comment last week. He's going to be a star candidate this week, too. Gerald String was the gold star winner last week. I remember that very long post he made, and it was a lot of good stuff. I mean, that guy is on fire. He has some good stuff. So, yeah, it was Gerald String, Dave Martin, and Robert Skull Viking Fisk. So, and I think Skull Viking Robert is going to be a star candidate again, as should Gerald String be. And, yep, that's the same comment. I don't know if he posted it twice. Looks like it. And that's okay. Gerald String has a couple posts on a row here saying the bad part is we sold out for Bradford. I know it's not his fault, but now we're giving up future draft picks. Yep, that's a lot. We've done that too many times over the history, thinking we need that one player to win it all. It never has worked out yet. And plus, you have Bridgewater still, so I don't know. Maybe they're thinking they'll have to trade one of the two away, but I don't know if you're going to get a first-round pick back. That's the other thing. Yeah, here we go. Gerald String saying you never, ever, ever see the Patriots ever jeopardize the team's future by giving up 2 draft picks to go out and get an overpaid veteran. How many championship teams do that? I can't think of any right offhand. No, teams that think they're going to win it, maybe, but yeah. The Patriots often are the ones that are on the receiving end of the multiple draft picks, like the Cordero Patterson trade. That's why Spielman would be a little protective of him because, yeah, and I don't know, that might have built some kind of schism between Norv Turner and Rick Spielman. That's one of the conspiracy theories out there. I'm always open to hearing conspiracy theories because sometimes there's something going on. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You just never know. Might be completely way off. There might be something there. I mean, it's at least a theory. It doesn't have to even be a conspiracy theory. Just a theory. Gerald String wrapping up his section here, his section, saying, speaking of draft picks, did we get any last year? Catastrophe is the word that comes to mind. Yeah, not yet. Yeah, even Mackenzie Alexander had a rough game. That was heartbreaking for me because I really liked the guy, but he stunk today. I'm not afraid to say it. Laquan Treadwell did what I think he will do in the future, though, and that's make catches on those third downs. Do you spend first-round picks on guys like that, or do you get them in the mid-rounds, though, like fourth, fifth round? I think you get him in the fourth or fifth round. Cody Whitehair. He might not be the best guard in the NFL, and guard might not be the most important position on the offensive line. In fact, it's the third out of the three. But you know what? We still could use him. We could still use him. He'd be a left guard, too, and that's pretty important considering where that position is on the field. Yeah, Cody Whitehair, damn it. Justin Henry saying, anyone want a week? Yep, here we go. This pretty much just about seals the deal here for Mayor Henry getting a very good star in this one. Anyone want to take a week off? Let's have a bye week for the fans. I think we need a break. And exactly, that's what I'm saying, too. I was saying agreed. 3 weeks in a row was too much, and the weather was too nice outside today. Justin saying, the name of the show should be Bankrupt at U.S. Bank, LOL. Yeah, that is a good one. That would have been a candidate, but I was kind of already set on prevent defense. That's a good idea, too. But that might be a good one if you ever get shut out at home. That's being bankrupt, that's for sure. But, yeah, there's our first home loss. Brent Jacobson says, what's Fuad Revez up to? Remember Fuad Revez, early 90s, late 80s? He could really kick. I mean, he didn't have the most powerful leg in the league, but he was as accurate and reliable as you can possibly get. It's just a crying shame you didn't have a Fuad Revez in a big NFC Championship game situation. I remember he retired because of a foot injury, ankle injury, I believe it was, that just wasn't healing. And it was the kind of thing that would require long-term surgery. And it was just, okay, that's it. He's going to have to retire. And that was the same time that Kirby Puckett had to retire, way back in 96. It was a bummer. Joe's ring like that one. Dustin Mariner says Dream Gray dropped another at least. So that helps. And it does. The Vikings are still in first place. But now we're where I was saying Houston was. Remember I was talking about back when the Houston Texans were one of the little playoff teams, the cute little ones that they make the playoffs and they lose in the first, maybe second round. Well, that's kind of where we are now. That sucks. That really sucks. I'll check for visitor posts. It's mostly, Ali posting articles, and I do appreciate that. And a funny Craigslist ad Brent Jacobson posted about how it says, tackle needed, desperately looking for someone to occupy either end of our offensive line to protect Sam Bradford and, if possible, open some holes for our running backs. Even better. Experience preferred, but not needed. Oh, man. And it's not loading the rest. That sucks. Oh, well. Guess I'll just have to leave that as is for some stinking reason. But, yeah, that's awesome. That was one of the funniest things you ever read the past week or so. I mean, that was... that was magic. That was gold. And Ali posting articles from Pro Football Spot. Never stop. Thank you very much for that, Ali. It's good reading during breaks and such. They were up. I remember the Vikings beat the Lions in 2002, and guess who was at that game for Mike's first win? Me, Purple Mafia host Joey Wyden was at that game back in 2002. That was in the lower deck, thanks to my uncle who helped hook us up for that one. Wow, that was a. Well, we sucked. Our defense was horrendous, and Culpepper was all over the place. He sucked that year too. He was a turnover machine, but Detroit was awful. They were awful, and Joey Harrington was a early draft pick at the time. We didn't realize how awful he was going to be. At the time, he was the number 2 pick in the draft, and it's like a up and coming prospect. But I remember still thinking, oh, my God, we were giving up some of the lamest, first downs. It was so frustrating. Yeah, we still won the game, thank God. 31-24, first win for Mike freaking Tice. Yes, sir. Tice was in trouble coming into that one, too. So there it is. I remember Scott Linehan was even in trouble. And little do we know how good of an offensive coordinator he would be. It even ended up being a really good one on the Lions years later when they had some serious success. So we'll leave that alone now. We'll wrap up the show. It's way longer than I expected this one to be. I don't know. I just go and go sometimes, and I don't even realize it. Cleanups have been continuing. We've been making really nice progress, though, which is great. Different strategy this year, kind of going light. I don't know if I already mentioned that, kind of going light on some yards. early and then kind of getting heavier as we go. But yeah, we started a little earlier, kind of getting what we can, and then come back later for an easier job than it would have been, that type of thing. So kind of smart, actually. Not bad. I don't mind it as much as I thought I would. As long as the rain stops, we'll be very, 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 very happy. This weather is the best possible November weather you'll ever have. Warm and dry. Can I say those two words again? Warm and dry. And I don't want it to stop. I want to see that sunlight. I want to see the dryness. You have no idea how, well, so a lot of you might have an idea how frustrating wet leaves are when you're trying to get that job done. Especially when it's, your second job, whatever, and you only have limited time to get it done and then get to work. So please pray for less and less rain and less dew as well. But I'm really, really loving it. Do enjoy this warm, comfortable weather when you can during the course of this week. Let's pass out the stars before I screw up again. Now, Gerald String has the gold star for last week, so that's a done deal. And I named the 3 already. So now the gold star for this week is Justin Mayer Henry. He will definitely get the gold star for this week. Robert Skull Viking is going to get the silver for the week. Robert Skull Viking is going to get the silver. He's moving up there. Hopefully he listens. I'm not sure if he does or doesn't, but really appreciate his inclusion on the show. And the bronze star, I'm going to give it to... I'm going to go to Twitter today. Justin Day and Dave Martin will both be getting a bronze stars today with some awesome quotes along the way. Justin Day really nailed me with that one. I have to give him a bronze star. He's good at that. He doesn't tweet me very often or on Facebook, but when he does, it's just like a boom, like, oh, whoa, like a little jab to the face, like, oh, damn, you got me, man. He's good at that. Good on him. I hope he's still a listener, and if you are, please let me know, Justin, like just a quick tweet, yes, I still listen, or whatever. And obviously, if you can't hear me now, then I probably can't expect a tweet. Doggone it. But I hope I do. Really appreciate everyone's inclusion all the time. I'm enjoying this. I'm glad I'm able to still bring the show to you. I just wish this season would have continued in the direction it was going. I mean, it was so fun. I mean, how good did this team look the first 5 weeks? They looked so good. Now we're starting to look like last year's Cincinnati Bengals, 5-0, and then they ended up being what they were. They made the playoffs, which is okay, I guess, but 11-5 after 5-0, that's weak. That's weak. And now it's going to take a lot of effort to get to 11-5, because guess what? See, this is officially the midpoint of the season, 5-3. We're at the halftime, so to speak. We'd have to have a 6-2 record, which is better than 5-3, just to get to 11-5. What the hell happened here? Lord have mercy. So I hate to leave you with that, but let's just at least get to 6-2 and get to 11-5 now. 12-4 would be freaking awesome. Start with forcing turnovers against the Washington Redskins and capitalizing on the turnovers. This time, capitalize on them. Score, finish, get the first down when you need it. Please, 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 please. Hopefully, Jake Long continues to develop, and finally, hopefully, get a new kicker in here immediately. Take care, everybody. We'll be back next week when we'll have a president-elect, or unless, of course, the whole country blows up along the way and nobody does get elected officially before then, and we have a civil war starting already because we don't even have a president-elect yet.